All right, video is going. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and welcome back to another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins, and sitting virtually across from me is Mr. Wally Phelps.
Hello, I was going to introduce myself, but kept talking.
I didn't mean to step on your toes there.
That's all right. They're pretty fat toes.
If you're confused about, hey, wasn't Jacob Craig, the co-host of Open Micers, supposed to be here tonight talking about Resident Evil 4? Yes, that was supposed to happen tonight, but this has been a rough weekend, and Jacob lost his father Friday night, so he's going to be taking a little time off from the podcast. So I asked Mr. Phelps to join me again here tonight, and you guys love him. You know, you love him. He's the fact checker, and he's here to help out when I need him, and thank you so much for that.
But you love him. Citation needed.
So how was your weekend?
I don't know. It was weird. Nothing really interesting other than what we already discussed happened. So, I went out and went thrift shopping. Hopefully, I was trying to find something that I could pick up, and because this show really got me thinking about going to thrift shops and stuff like that. I actually went to the thrift store, and the only thing interesting that I found was a Vornado humidifier. Because the first thing that popped in my head was, who buys a humidifier in one of the most humid locations on the face of the earth?
I know. My mom used to have a humidifier for me when I was a kid, because I used to have bronchitis and I was a sickly little kid. And she used to put a humidifier in my room all the time. And now that I'm older, I'm like, why? We live in a place where there's 100% humidity at all times.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't make the air any wetter than it already is.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you walk outside on a hot day and it feels like you walked into a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's possible, but it is. If you've never been here in the heat of summer, like July 8th,
yeah,
and walked outside, you just do not know what. I mean, I know people who are like, oh, it's nice and warm and everything like that. I mean, you need to come here. Because I swear to God, when you're peeling your underwear from your thighs, you will not be as happy about it as you think you will be.
Yeah. That's so weird. Like I see people out in the, it would make sense if we lived in like Arizona or something to have a humidifier. It makes zeros. It's like Eskimos buying bags of ice. Like, it makes no sense.
Well, this one makes the Sonic ice. Yeah. So there. It's funny because you mentioned an arid area. I mean, I visited Las Vegas and it was like 80 something degrees, and I swear to God, it felt like it was like 54 or something like that to me, because it was like, this is nice. I like this. And then I'm getting electrocuted by everything because of how still the air is. There's a trade-off.
But yeah, I went this weekend. I didn't really do any thrift shopping, but if you're not from here, those who listen that are from here, do you remember Josette's? Was a very kind of famous costume shop in downtown Biloxi.
Yeah, I drove by there, a year ago or something like that, and it brought back memories. But
yeah, I know. They're turning it into now. They're turning it into high-level apartments or something like that, like or apartments or townhouses or something like that. Because that was a really large building. So it
was a very large building.
But they used
That's
to be
probably part of the reason why it went out of business.
Yeah, and I think Miss Josette was planning on retiring for a while, and then the pandemic kind of sealed that fate. But I used to rent.
That's closed way before that.
Oh, did it? I thought it.
Yeah, like 2012 or something.
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up.
You look that up. It's only been a couple of years, but they had this big sale this weekend at the D'Iberville Civic Center, and they called it the Mystical Market, and they had a bunch of old Josette's costumes and Halloween decorations and things like that this weekend. So we went to that, and I bought a basket of Highlander VHS tapes, and that was pretty awesome.
All right, I was wrong, but it was before the pandemic. It was 2019.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it's just fairly recently that they closed.
Wow, they were in business for 47 years.
Mm-hmm. Longer than
I remember. I remember renting a tux there, and the button popped off because I'm a fat guy. I got real worried that they were going to charge me for it, but I had the button in my pocket, so it was like
I tried on it. They let me try on a full-on Darth Vader costume there once. The actual Lucasfilm molded Darth Vader suit that they had, roughly early 2000s, I'd say around. I think it was the Revenge of the Sith that they put out that Darth Vader costume, and I got to try it on. And they were going to charge me like $250 to rent it, plus a $250 down deposit. And I was just
I remember you talking about that. Isn't that what you were going to do in that costume party that we went to that one time that you drove around on the riding lawnmower and tried to jump in the pool?
Yeah, I ended up being Batman that year, but because I just couldn't afford it. I mean, that's a lot of money, especially in 2005 or 6, whenever that was. $500 is a lot of money to throw down for renting a costume for a night.
Right.
But it was a cool costume. It would have been hot as hell because it's like that. It weighed about 200 pounds and was kind of like wearing a blanket, with the suit you had to put on. So I would have been sweating to death inside that thing in the humidity.
Not so much of a suit than a suit.
Because, wearing that in October down here in the South would have been not too good. Because like we said before, it's too hot, it's too humid. I would have died in that suit. I would have looked like the real Anakin Skywalker if I walked around in that suit.
Well, those Ghostbusters costumes are pretty warm, considering. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to get myself a summer wear one.
Yeah.
that I'm going to wear instead.
Get you an extra flight suit and just cut the legs off and make jorts out of them.
I'm going to look like a UPS driver. Anybody see any ghosts or need consigned for this package?
I would pay to see that. If you do that, I will buy the flight suit for you.
I'm not going to do that. If I buy something like that, it's going to be like made that way.
If the listeners, if we get a petition going with the listeners, and they want you to be the Ghostbusters UPS man, would you do it if we got enough people to sign a petition?
If we meet the Patreon goal of $100 a month.
We're already almost there. We're very close.
Oh, damn. But you're going to have to buy the thing.
All right, we'll see. We get to $100 a month, then we'll force Wally to cut his flight suit into shorts. And
look like Reno 911.
I want to see this. I want to see it. But before we go down another dark path, let's go ahead and move into the news, shall we? And some of tonight's stories were submitted to us by Armez Jackson. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the first story is from NintendoEverything.com. Taito Milestones 2 has been announced for the Switch. Taito Milestones 2 is in development for the Switch. Taito just announced a release is planned for August in Japan. It's confirmed to include Benbiro Bay. How do you say that? Dino Rex, Gun Frontier, Kiki Kai Kai, Liquid Kids, Metal Black, The Legend of Cage, and the New Zealand story. However, this isn't the full lineup. Additional titles will be made known in the future. So did you ever play any of the Taito games back in the day?
90% sure only one of these was released in the United States.
Well, I'm sure they'll have a lot of U.S. titles too on there.
Well, if this says in Japan, and the first one was only in Japan, so I don't know. Oh, it released in the West a couple months later. What was on the first one then?
I don't remember. I remember us talking about it. Let's see, Taito Milestones games list. All right, let's see. Here we go. It has Kicks. Yeah, it's got Kicks, QIX, 1981.
Okay.
Puzzle.
Okay.
Let's see. Kicks, the 1981 puzzle game. Space Seeker, Alpine Ski, Frontline, Wild Western, Chack and Pop, Elevator Action, the Fairyland Story, Halley's Comet, and the Ninja Warriors.
Okay, so like all the games I've heard of are on that one.
Yeah, me too. And actually, it's on sale right now. If you want to pick up the original Taito Milestones, right now it's on sale for $15.99, which actually is not a bad price for that at the moment.
Bad price. I mean, if I had a Switch still, I might pick.
All right, you're up next.
So action platformer Mangavania heading to Switch this month. That is I was watching the trailer here and now it won't let me move out of it. Okay. It was Sometimes You. I'm sorry, I thought I was reading this in the middle of the sentence, but this is the name of the company. Sometimes You will publish Mangavania. You specifically, Jason, you will sometimes publish this game.
Sometimes I will. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Sometimes You, which is the name of the company.
That's not a good name for a company. I'm sorry. That's just How
are you going to Google that company?
Exactly. That's not a good
name. Who is in charge of the SEO of this company? You will publish Mangavania on Switch this month. The company has announced. A release is planned for April 26, 2023. That's just a couple days from now. Mangaville is an old-school action platformer game with pixel art graphics. Here's a brief overview as shared by Sometimes You, specifically Jason. Join the adventure as Yuhiko, a young ninja who has gone to the underworld to find a cure for his brother. Free the lost souls to advance to the next level. Find spirits in secret places. They will tell you a story or give you advice. Explore dungeons, fight monsters, and meet new friends. And it has a trailer here. I watched it earlier, and it looks very similar to oh God, what's the name of that game? I can't think of it. The one that has Megalovania on it. But it doesn't matter. It will cost $4.99 on the Switch eShop. If you pre-order the game, you'll get a discount. You get $1 off. It's $3.99. So that's interesting. So it's a whole bunch of things I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Sometimes You.
I looked at the trailer, and I'm not a big fan of the black and white aesthetic that it has. It's just
it reminds me of an old early 80s, late 70s computer game.
Yeah, it does. But if you're into, that kind of just action platformers like old school, but with very minimal graphics, that's kind of what this is.
Yeah. It's some people might like it. I mean, as far as this kind of graphic graphical decision is concerned,
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork is rather interesting. Heck, I might even try it. Who knows? Oh yeah, I don't have a Switch anymore. Okay,
Boo. Uh,
your turn.
Up next, we have the from NintendoEverything.com IGS Classic Arcade Collection revealed and released on Switch. IGS Classic Arcade Collection has not only been revealed for Switch, but it is also available right now worldwide. It includes 8 classic games, specifically Knights of Valor, Superheroes, Knights of Valor Plus, Knights of Valor 2, Nine Dragons, Oriental Legend Spooky, Martial Masters. Marshall Masters, is that Marshall Mathers' evil twin brother, Marshall Masters?
My name is.
My name is Demon Front and the Gladiator. Online multiplayer is supported as well. Let's see, is there a price for it? You can choose up to 4 players to compete online, work together with your friends to overcome boss. Let's see, $29.99 on the eShop right now. So $30 for the IGS Classic Arcade Collection. Did you ever play any of these classic arcade games? I don't think I have.
No, I've never even heard of all of these. Maybe the Gladiator. Maybe.
Maybe.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, I was just thinking, does it have little Russell Crowe on the screen? He's like yells at you on the screen. Are you not entertained?
Listen, I mean, I'm very interested in Oriental Legend Spooky.
Yeah,
I would love to know what this is.
That sounds fun, actually.
It really does. Like, I'm going to have to name my game Gulf Coast Spooky.
Yeah. Spooky Mulder, like X-Files.
Let's see. The next one. Tron Identity gameplay. Now, I don't know how we're going to show people on an audio podcast.
Yeah, I mean, here it's got an overview about the game, because there's a new Tron game. I should have saved this one for me to read, but there is a Tron game I've been reading about on Twitter for a while now. It's called Tron Identity. And it's
not really even a game. It's a visual novel.
Yeah. But it said, here's the overview for it. It says, in a new grid forgotten by its creator and left alone to evolve without user intervention, an unprecedented crime has been committed. The repository stands at the center of this society. In the aftermath of a break-in, the future of this grid hangs in the balance. Tron Identity is a visual novel adventure following Query, a detective program tasked with uncovering the mystery of what was taken and by whom. Finding yourself in a world built on unstable foundations and filled with whispered knowledge, it's up to you to question suspects and investigate your surroundings and piece together the truth. And it sounds to me that it's going to be more like, have you heard of a game called Disco Elysium, where it plays more like a novel than an actual game? This sounds like it's going to be in that same vein.
It's funny because it kind of reminds me of the games that Josh was making in Big.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. I would like to see how this all plays out. It's fascinating to me that you would take the Tron IP and instead of making a game with it, you make a visual novel.
Yeah. Like, it's about video games.
And none of the characters we know are in it.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating that you would make that decision.
It was developed by the team behind Thomas Was Alone and Subsurface Circular. And I've heard a lot of good stuff about those games. I've never played them before. Oh, you have played those?
No, I've heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't actually
it seems like it has a good pedigree behind it, but like you said, it's kind of a weird sort of thing to just do a visual novel of instead of actually making a game. Because what do we all want to do? We all want to play Light Cycles. That's what we want to do.
I doubt there's going to be light cycles in this,
Yeah.
considering the way it's described.
Yeah. But it is available now. I might actually check it out once I'm done playing all the stuff I'm playing, because I love Tron. You know, Tron's one of my favorite things ever. So I'll try it out just to see what it's like. It depends on how much it costs. If this is a $60 game, I might be a wait until it comes down, but I'm not sure what it's going to cost. What'd you say? I missed that.
I would pass if it's $60.
Yeah, maybe 15 or 20. That seems like a good spot for this type of game.
Since you read most of that, I'll go ahead and take the next one.
Okay.
2 brand new Game Boy platformers are up for pre-order. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that.
Yes.
Although you might not believe it, the Game Boy remains a vibrant platform for small devs continuing to explore the handheld's potential several decades after its 1989 launch, and publishers are still producing physical games for it, according to NintendoLife.com. Soft is one of the most prolific publishers in the neo-retro space and has 2 new Game Boy titles lined up for release in the middle of May. Pre-orders now live. The first is Yosai Wars. I think I'm saying that right. A cute platformer for Game Boy Color, developed by Felix M.A. Nakede, that follows the deterioration of the alliance between junk food and the Tooth Fairies as the grub attacks and captures the fairies' castle. Ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? You need to pre-order this now.
I love it.
There's this whole, oh my god, there's a lot of lore here.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to read all that if you don't want to. I just you can go.
There's peace and tranquility that would be an alliance between junk food and the elegant Tooth Fairies. But yeah, it's wow.
That's a lot.
The second one's called Athletic World. A boy and a girl are bored playing a ball game when a cat and a dog show up out of nowhere, and they all go on an exciting new adventure. That one sounds far less exciting.
Yeah. Was that the pitch for the game when they made it? Like, okay, here, picture this: a boy and a girl,
bored children,
bored playing a ball game when a cat and dog show up out of nowhere. Then they go on an adventure. Brilliant.
What kind of adventure? A new adventure.
Here's all the money.
Both Yosai Wars and Athletic World are up for pre-order on the BitMap Soft site for £45 each. Man, that's good. I'm so fat. Available in digital or physical forms. The mid-May dispatch date.
45 pounds.
The boxes are really cool looking here.
45 pounds. These are heavy games.
How would you keep them in the Game Boy?
You get a workout and you play the games. Yeah, it doesn't have.
I wonder it's called Athletic World.
I don't know what that translates to in dollars. I know the pound is a little less than $1 right now, so I figure probably somewhere around $40 each. Probably.
Yeah, something like that. Seriously, Yosai War sounds amazing.
Yeah. Dude, if you haven't checked it out, this is on NintendoLife.com. Just go read the article. It tells you the whole story of the Yosai Wars. I mean, I would play a full-on $60 AAA title that is
right
a fight between junk food and tooth fairies. Like, that just sounds great.
Like, there's some screenshots here. One of them's it looks like a tooth fairy throwing a tooth. And it says stage clear, and it is the most bizarre thing you will see today.
I dig it. I would, if I had a Game Boy Advance, I would probably buy these.
Run up and take my pounds.
Yeah, take my pounds. That brings us to the end of the news. I think we're going to skip this month in video game history. I had a couple things here. I'm going to save those for next week. And we're going to go ahead and jump almost to the review for tonight. But first, before I do that, I have some shout outs to do because guess what? Out there, if you're listening to this, guess what? We have a Patreon. And if you join our Patreon, you get all kind of cool stuff. You get early access to the commentary tracks, which we are recording this month's commentary track in just a few days. And we're going to do the winner of last month's Patreon poll, which was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original 1987 series. We're going to do the first couple episodes because something happened. I don't remember what exactly. Oh, yeah, it wasn't available to stream last month.
We couldn't watch it.
And so we have a way to watch it this month. And it's on Apple Plus if you're out there and you want to follow along when we drop it. It's on Apple Plus. And so we're going to do that this week. And if you're a patron, you get that way earlier than everybody else. So go over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for as little as $1 a month, you help us out. And we have some shout outs right now of our lovely patrons. We have a new patron just recently joined, and want to shout out Raven, our newest patron, Miss Danny House, Mr. Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Rez Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, AxeBlade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I Am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, and Mama Diamond herself, Donna Diamond, our lovely patrons over there on patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And if you're a new patron, don't forget, send us your social media info either on Twitter, Facebook, email, or on Patreon so we can give you a proper social media shout out. And guess what?
Right.
Guess what I'm talking about tonight? You want to hear what I'm talking about tonight? Here we go.
What is it?
Anything that makes you happier than the Legend of Zelda music?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's up there. I do have to say that I couldn't hear that. It's the way it sounded to me on my end was GLaDOS humming the Legend of Zelda theme, and it was bizarre.
I got to figure out why when I'm recording. Apparently, Audio Hijack doesn't allow Zoom to hear the soundboard, so I got to get that fixed. But other than that, tonight I'm talking about The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. It is an action adventure video game and the 12th entry into the Legend of Zelda series. It was the 12th one, and it was developed by Capcom and Flagship, and with Nintendo overseeing the development process. It was released for the Game Boy Advance in Japan and Europe in 2004, and in North America and Australia the following year. It continues the story of the Four Sword, a weapon introduced in Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures. The game retains many elements common to previous Zelda games, especially top-down predecessors such as A Link to the Past, that includes new features and mechanics. And I'll be honest, this game was never on my radar because I was not a handheld gamer. Never really been a handheld gamer until the Switch. And I had an original Game Boy back in the day.
You can't do it any other way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I dock mine sometimes and play it on the TV, but most of the time it's spent on the couch playing it while watching TV or whatever. So the fact that Nintendo is putting the Game Boy Advance stuff and the Game Boy stuff on Switch Online is a good thing because I missed out on a lot of good games, especially over the last few weeks, playing Metroid Fusion specifically, and now Zelda: The Minish Cap, which was never on my radar because I was always a console gamer or PC gamer, and I was not going to buy a handheld device to play games on. It just wasn't part of my personality. It just was not my thing. And it sucks because I've missed so many good games because of that attitude.
it wasn't. I never really got into it myself, other than I bought a Game Boy SP whenever the one that looked like an NES came out, and I bought Excite Bike on it and Mario Brothers 3, and that was it.
Mhm.
And so I did miss out on everything because I only bought games I had already owned before. So
But I love the Legend of Zelda games, but these were just never on my radar. And playing it the last week or so, I've gotten the same feeling from playing this game that I did when I and to be fair, the Link to the Past is still my all-time favorite Legend of Zelda game, and this game is in that same vein of A Link to the Past. There are some gameplay mechanics that are wildly different than that game. Like that game, you go between the two worlds, the light world and the dark world, that sort of game mechanic. With this one, you have a shrinking mechanic because you are working. There are these things in the game called the Minish, and they are tiny little people who live in the world, and adults can't see them. Only children. They only interact with children. And you being a child, Link as a child, you can use certain things to shrink. Okay, let me back up a little bit. They call the game the Minish Cap because the hat you wear, you get this hat in the game, and it turns out, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but the hat turns out to be a Minish wizard who was his apprentice became evil and put a spell on him to where he became a hat, and he sort of looks like a cross between a hat and a stork, kind of. And so he becomes Link's hat throughout the game. And I don't know what Nintendo has with sentient hats. It reminds me a lot of Mario. Was it Mario? What was the newest?
Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey. Yeah. So it's sort of like that, where you can, talk to your hat. Your hat gives you advice, tells you where to go, what to do, kind of type of thing. And whenever you get to these certain spots where like a pot that will be, glowing, you stand next to the pot, you hit the right button, and you fly up on top of the pot, and the bird starts chanting weird spell stuff, and you shrink down tiny. People can't see you, but then you can talk to the Minish people that are around. Like they have little doorways in the houses, and outdoors too. Like you go to the little towns of the people, the little tiny people in the and you do stuff for them, and they give you a sword, and they help you rebuild the sword. You're looking for the four elements in the game, which is sort of like that, where it's sort of like where you're looking for pieces of the Triforce or whatever, but you're looking for elements pieces, and they infuse the sword that you have with those element pieces to make it, I guess eventually it's going to become the Master Sword with all four elements. Like I've already gotten two of the elements in the game. That's another thing. I haven't finished the game. I'm probably 75% through the game. And the only reason I'm reviewing it early is because Jacob's not here tonight to do Resident Evil 4, and this is the only thing I've been playing for the last week and a half. But I'm actually in the dungeon for the third piece of the element that I'm looking for right now. I've already fused the first two elements into the sword, making it stronger, and it's a lot like Link to the Past. Like the way the dungeons are set up, the boss fights are very, very much like Link to the Past. So it's in that vein of A Link to the Past. And also being Capcom very rarely makes bad games, and I think it's a really good marriage between Nintendo and Capcom to do Zelda games.
This is a good little baby that they made.
Yeah. Oh, and the people they're not called Minish. They're the your cap is Minish, and the people, the little tiny people, are called the Paki.
Wait a minute now. I've gone this whole review thinking that they were called the Minish. How
Wait,
in the world are you going to change this up on me in the middle of the
well,
of the show?
they're the Picori. That's right. I'm trying to keep all this straight. Okay, here, let me read this for you. Centuries ago, Hyrule was ravaged by evil forces until the Picori, a race of tiny creatures, bestowed a young hero with the Picori blade and the light force, using both to trap the world's evil in a chest. The grateful people of Hyrule would hold an annual Picori festival with legends stating that a door between their worlds would open every 100 years, allowing the Picori to return. In the present, Link accompanies Princess Zelda to the Picori festival. Let's see. The Picori who call themselves Minish. The task Link with retrieving the 4 elements magic stones needed to restore the Picori blade, because the Vati, who is the bad guy in the game, Vati shows up at the festival, and he turns Zelda to stone, and the only way to free her is for Link to get the 4 elements and fight him to return her to normal. And so you've got the Vati, who is the bad guy, and Eslo is the magical hat, who Link gets. He is a Minish, but his name is Eslo, and he is now a hat because he's been cursed by Vati. That face.
I don't know what to say. First I was led to believe that that all of them were called the Minish. Now only some of them are called the Minish.
Well, they call themselves the
ones,
Minish. The humans call them Picori. The humans call them Picori. They call themselves Minish.
It's like whenever we have, it's like whenever we call a country something else.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have a totally different name for it.
So basically, Vati shows up, turns Zelda to stone, and you are tasked with to go get the 4 elements to reforge the sword to become the 4 sword, which then you take on Vati to return Zelda to normal human form. So that's the plot of the game.
I'm speechless.
I mean, it is a little convoluted because, the Zelda games can be a little convoluted sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you're playing...
at least it's not Final Fantasy or Metal Gear.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Zelda game. It's a top-down, traditional Zelda game where you have the map out before you. There are certain places you can't go until you not necessarily level up, but you go through and you get different things. Like you get the Pegasus boots, which you can't go into the swamp until you get the Pegasus boots, and you get your bombs, which you can blow up the walls with, and then you have this one cool little secondary weapon that is like I think it's a pot, but it acts like a vacuum cleaner. So you use it to like either blow things different directions. Like when you're a Minish, when you're tiny, you're a Picori, there are certain places where you have to stand on a leaf and navigate like a river, and you have to use it to kind of blow yourself where you need to go. And you can use it to like suck up a rock and like throw it at things. It's kind of cool. It's you have to just sort of see it to understand how it works. Of course, you get your other weapons, like you get arrows and things like that. But you're
saying that Link has a gun.
Yes, pretty much. He has an air gun, basically.
Like,
yeah, it's almost like a t-shirt cannon that works like a vacuum cleaner and a t-shirt cannon.
Take this.
Take this. Take it. The music's great in the game. It is straight up Zelda ass Zelda music. And the graphics are sort of a mix of Link to the Past, but also Wind Waker in a very, if that makes any sense. Like, it's got like a very cartoonish look to it, a little more cartoonish than Link to the Past. Like, it's very stylized, but it has that 16-bit like cleanness to it. You know what I'm saying?
I love some 16-bit cleanness.
Yeah, I don't know any other way to say it. Like the graphics.
Well, I know what you mean. It's got that, because like whenever you made that leap from 8 to 16, suddenly everything felt like it had more depth.
Yes, it's got depth. It's got color to it. Everything looks like candy. Like
going from Saturday morning cartoons to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Exactly. Like it looks so good, and the character models are fantastic. Like I love the way, and there are actually times in the game that actually make me laugh. Like made me laugh out loud. There is a part where you're in one dungeon, and you have to jump in a what do you call it? Like a rail, not a rail car, but like a dungeon cart, like a rail cart in a dungeon, like Indiana Jones, like Temple of Doom. Yeah, like that. And as soon as you jump in it, it like takes off so fast, and Link is kind of like holding on for dear life, and he's like screaming while it's going through the mines, and it actually made me laugh. Exactly, like it made me laugh because it was just so funny looking, and there were times like that throughout the game where just little things would make me laugh, and that's what I like about this game. Like it's just there's so much care taken to just little things in this game.
Sounds like a very joyful game. It's like something that you jump in and it's like, this is great. I want to live here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you are into that era of, the 16-bit era, like the Link to the Past, and especially like the Link's Awakening remaster, it's sort of somewhere in between those two graphically, but it's that same style of gameplay, same solving puzzles, things like that. So if you're into that type of thing and you've never played this game, you are missing out. I missed out on this game for 30 years now. I could have played this game and never did. But now I'm glad that I finally am getting to play it, because it is completely worth every second that I've put into it.
Oh my God, I can't believe how old this game is, and it feels like it just came out. You know what I'm saying?
It does. It really does.
So bizarre to me.
And, it came out in Japan in 2004, North America 2005. I really do think that this should have been, this would have been at the tail end of the Super Nintendo. I really think this would have kept the Super Nintendo alive for a few more years. Because the N64 came out.
Xbox 360 come out?
Oh, no, I'm thinking 95. 2005? Not 2000. Like, I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Sorry, my brain's not working. I was thinking 1994 and 95. I don't know why.
Your brain not think so good. Yeah, I get it.
I had a lot going on today. But yeah, 2005. But I really do think this would have fit into the Super Nintendo era. If this would have came out,
they could have released it on Super Nintendo, and it would have been great.
Yeah, I feel like if this had been released, 10 years prior in 1995, not 2005, if it was released in 95 towards the end of the Super Nintendo, it would have kept the Super Nintendo alive a few more years. And I really feel like this would have been like a classic Zelda game.
It sounds like it is a classic Zelda game.
I'm pretty sure it is. It is in the Zelda community. But like I said, I love Zelda games, but I never played these. I never played this one. I never played the Four Swords, which I very much want to now that I know what these games...
Now that you know what's going on.
Yeah, now that
and that's really the thing, because I remember when these games came out, they were on, I remember reading online reviews for these games. And it feels weird to me that we're talking about these in a context of retro gaming.
Yeah.
Because I was an adult when this came out. You know, so I am very much upset about all of
Yeah, but
this.
here's the thing. Even though it technically came out in 2004 in Japan, that's only one more year to make 20 years. And that's 20 years ago. 2 decades ago this game came out.
Closing my computer.
But it is completely in that Super Nintendo area. And this would have fit in the Super Nintendo, on the Super Nintendo. And I kind of wish it had. You know, I wish I would have had a Game Boy Advance to play these.
Right.
Because it's
Dang.
it's really it's scratching my Zelda itch, waiting for Breath of the Wild, is what it's doing.
Nice, because it's not long to wait for Breath of the Wild.
I know, a few more weeks.
I'm not playing it, but
I know you're not, because you're a joyless.
I am excited for everyone, to be honest.
You're a joyless gamer.
I am a joyless gamer. I only play games I hate.
I'm just kidding.
But no, it's one of those things where I know so many people are excited about this game coming, and it really does my heart good to see everybody so unified in a single thing. Not many releases are like that nowadays.
Yeah, I just really hope in the new Breath of the Wild 2, I hope they give me a mechanic in the game that allows me to repair my weapons, because I don't like that mechanic of the weapons breaking.
I read somewhere that they're actually going to make it twice as easy to destroy your weapons, and you will not be able to repair them.
No, sir, I don't like it.
And then Miyamoto-san will give you the finger every time it happens.
Yeah, every time it happens, just a picture of him giving the middle finger pops up on the screen. This was the best-selling game in its debut week in Japan, selling 97,000 copies.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but
it's Japan though.
For a Game Boy, I guess.
It had a total of 350,000 copies overall in Japan. In North America, it sold 217,000 copies in its first month, being the fourth best-selling game of the month. Let's see. By March 2005, it had already sold 1 million units worldwide. And in the United States alone, it sold 680,000 copies, which doesn't sound like a lot, but still a lot for a handheld game.
Yeah, for a handheld. I mean, yes, the Game Boy is like the highest selling gaming platform. But at the same time, people only generally had 1 or 2 games for it.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting to me that Zelda is such a huge phenomenon right now. And I am willing to bet that they're going to make a Zelda game. Not a Zelda game, I mean, a Zelda movie sooner than later.
100%.
Within the next 5 years, we're going to have a Zelda movie.
I bet we get a Zelda movie announcement by the end of summer.
By the end of the year, I'm a little less optimistic, but I always am.
I will say, by the end of the year. I agree with you. By the end of the year, we'll get an announcement.
Oh, they will probably announce the second Mario Brothers by the end of the summer, because you know how they are.
Yeah.
But there's also rumors going around that at Universal Studios Orlando, at the Islands of Adventure, they are going to put a Zelda attraction where the I forgot the name of the thing, but remember that walk-through attraction where they had the gods fighting each other, and there's the water tunnel that you walk through, and
the gods fighting each other.
I know we did it because we were both there the same day. It sounds
familiar, but I don't remember what it was. That's like a distant memory for me.
I haven't heard about this. No,
In a
I can't
long
remember the name
time.
of it. Oh, Poseidon's Fury was the name of the
Poseidon's
attraction.
Fury. I remember that.
Poseidon Fury. They just closed it, and the rumored replacement's going to be Zelda.
I'm there.
Yeah, mhm. I mean, it could even be a walkthrough attraction for all I care. I would
Oh,
100% do that.
that's awesome.
I mean, as much as I don't like playing the games, I love the world of Zelda.
I think you would
You know,
actually enjoy this game if you.
you think so?
I think you would because
I mean,
it's not something that takes a lot of brain power. I mean, there's Zelda puzzles. As
are
long
you
as you.
saying I'm an idiot?
No, I'm just saying it's very kind of relaxing to play.
That is my type of game. I do like the relaxing
And
games.
I like to explore that world, and it's not, the boss fights are not so hard that, like you can figure out the mechanics pretty quickly of the boss fights, and then it's really just the exploration and finding, different ways to get past certain obstacles. And that's the fun of the game to me, is like finding the new ways to get somewhere, finding out the little, doing the little puzzles. Like, it's very, very, if you enjoyed Link to the Past, you'll very much enjoy this game.
Very nice. Very nice. I mean, now, what would you say you would give it as far as a rating is concerned?
I don't feel fair giving it a rating because I'm not finished, but as far as, I'd say I'm 3/4 of the way through the game, and as of right now, I would give it a solid. I would give it an 8.5 right now.
That's not bad. Not bad for a game you haven't finished.
And depending on the ending of the game, depending on how the final, the final stretch of the game is, that's what'll bring it up to a 9.
Sorry, Link, our princess is in another castle.
Yeah, if I got to go through the whole game again, that's going to bring it down to about a 5.
On a harder level, yes.
Which actually, honestly, it's not. I've been playing the game for quite a few hours now over the past 2 weeks, but I only get to play a couple nights a week, probably 2-3 hours at a time. I'd say I'm probably 10 hours in at this point, somewhere around there, but
nice.
It doesn't feel like I've been playing that long, and I feel it's one of those games I feel like once you know where everything is and what to do, you can smoke through it pretty easy.
Okay. Always got that speed on your mind. It's like, I wonder how fast I can beat this game.
And I think you could, if you knew where everything was and what to do, you could probably finish this in a couple of hours, probably.
I wonder what the speed running record is.
Let's see. Minish Cap.
We'll both Google it.
Speed run record. All right, let's go to speedrun.com. Any percent. 225 players right now. The top player, TGH, has finished it in 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 40 seconds. The second place is 1 hour, 31 minutes.
Nice. Well, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, usually everybody on the list here is hovering around in between 1 hour, 30 minutes and 1 hour and 40, 1 hour 50 minutes. That seems to be the speed run.
I'm sure the fastest 100% run was 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah,
so that's interesting.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of content right there.
It is. It's a great.
That
little
sounds
game.
better to me.
It's fun. I like it. I highly, highly recommend it. But anything else to add before we leave Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap?
No, I have nothing to add about Zelda now.
Well, awesome. But before we go, what is going on over at Dead Game Pod?
We are a little late recording, and that's because, this has been a weird week. And we plan on doing an episode tomorrow night, which is the 25th for everybody listening. And the episode will be about Strider. So probably on the 26th.
Ooh, I love Strider.
So we're going to do an episode on Strider. So if you go to deadgamepod.com, you will find our link tree with all of our details. You are honestly, I think our show's kind of evergreen, so you can go back and listen to any episode, and get something out of it. I highly recommend listening to all of them, but I am biased because I'm in it.
Fun fact: Strider was one of the very first games I ever beat on the NES.
I'm trying to think. I can't think. Originally, like when I was a kid, I don't think I've ever beaten a game on the NES.
Really?
Yeah, I just never did.
Yeah, I remember having.
Oh, that's wrong. I beat Dino Wars.
Oh yeah.
It was something else. I'm incorrect. I apologize.
Yeah, Strider was one of the first games I managed to defeat on the NES because I had a guide for it. I don't remember where I got the guide from, and it had a lot of, it basically told you how to get through the game because there is a lot of different paths you can take through that game. The way it's set up, if you ever played Strider, it's a very good game. I really, really enjoy Strider. I think I reviewed it on the show here. I'm not sure. I have to go back through the archives and see if I have it. Then I'm going to review Strider here sometime soon. But there was the arcade version and the NES version. There was a version for the Genesis. And are you guys talking about any particular one or just particular version?
I don't think we're talking about any. We always go over the history of the game first, so we're probably going to talk about numerous different versions of the game.
Yeah.
So, but this is Carlos's topic, so it's not going to be, I don't know how detailed he's getting into it. But,
all right.
He is going to talk about, like we always do, what a modern update to it would be. So that's what it all boils down to. So I'm excited to hear what his ideas are, because I don't have any.
But if you never played the NES game, go play it. It's really good. And also this week on the Open Micers podcast, at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram, Wally's going to be joining me because, like I said, Jacob.
I am.
Jacob lost his dad last week, so he's taking a little time off. I rescheduled our guests, so we're going to have another Hostful Goodness episode between me and Mr. Wally Phelps. And I have a quiz for him this week, a Dungeons & Dragons quiz we're going to go over.
So Dungeons & Dragons quiz. I'm going to get all these wrong.
We'll see. But I think that's going to do it for this week. Is there anything else before we walk out the door?
No, just look for me at TheRealBigWall everywhere, including Patreon, because I don't make a lot of money.
Awesome. Well, here we go out the door. If you would like to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We are at nerdcaveretro.com, which is our link tree. That includes our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, and of course, our merch shop. And you can go there at ncrmerch.com, where we have all kinds of different t-shirts, hats, stickers, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy little heart desires. Follow us on social media at NerdCaveRetro, at JFunktastic, at Derek_Diamond, and at TheRealBigWall. And if you would, please leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all podcasting platforms. So Wally, please tell them what it's all about.
Oh,
yes.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
And that is an episode. And thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Sorry, we did not have a live show this week, but we will be back live next week, and we will see you guys next week.